My man Aqib Talib was so incredibly lucky today to win his 5-band bet that he made on Friday's Arena Gridiron with my man, my brother, Lil Wayne. He won it today, but here's the quick background. This happened on Friday's show as we were picking the game, obviously Packers at Broncos. Aqib, I keep goading him and TJ Ward about, come on, your Broncos just barely win because they'd won all these games, but they were only 9th in the NFL in point differential. So they're just barely winning games. Luckier. And Vegas, the odds makers, weren't buying the Broncos because they had the Packers as 2.5-point favorites at Denver, and it really pissed off Aqib Talib, former Bronco with TJ Ward. They won their Super Bowl there after the 2015 season, annihilating Cam Newton in that Super Bowl. Way to go. But Aqib got so steamed about the point spread that when I mentioned in the back and forth that my man Lil Wayne had texted me a couple days earlier about his Packers. Remember, he's just a Packers fanatic. He just worships the Green Bay Packers. I know he grew up in New Orleans, but if you know the story, his father at the time brought home from that Super Bowl that year, that Brett Favre Super Bowl in New Orleans, brought home some Packers stuff, some paraphernalia, I don't know, like a cup holder, and little kid Wayne just was like, I love the green, I love the gold, I love the Packers. You know how that happens when you're a little kid. So he had texted me a couple days earlier that he was starting to think this Packer team was, to use his word, special. But he readily admitted that these games now at Denver and at Chicago, as he said, as cleverly as he's the greatest lyricist in the history of rap, songwriting of any kind. To me, he's just genius. Obviously, he's the GOAT rapper. But he said, these next two games are going to be like an MRI/X-ray. That's right. So you can look inside the team and see exactly what it was going to be. So he's still seeing special after the big win 28-21 as they held off Caleb Williams and company at Lambeau. Now they got to go back there next week. But the point was, I just mentioned this on the fly, on the air, on Friday's Arena Gridiron, and Aqib goes off, loses it. He says, okay, you tell Lil Wayne, called him Toonshi, I never call him that, I just call him Wayne, but he said, you tell Toonshi, I got 5 bands on the Broncos at home on Sunday with 2.5 points, getting 2.5 points at home. I said, I'll check. And after the show, I checked via text. I figured Wayne might be watching. I think he was, because he wrote right back, bet, capital B-E-T with 3 exclamation points. And I reiterated to him, okay, so Aqib wants 5 bands on the game, getting 2.5. And he exclamation pointed it. Yes, bet, done. How lucky was Aqib today? So the Packers clearly look like the better team at halftime. They clearly look like the better team early in the third quarter. They're up 23-14 at Denver. They get the ball back 1st and 10 at their 19. If you watch the game, you know the play. 2 huge things happen on this play. Jordan Love goes deep to Christian Watson. I love Christian Watson. I've touted him since his first year, coming out of North Dakota State. 6'4", 210-ish, ran 4.3. Love it. And they've missed him for much of the year because they didn't really have that deep threat, because the kid can fly, still a kid to me. And he's flying on this play up the field. He's gone, it looks like, for a touchdown. And this throw from Jordan Love was all love, baby. It was as sweet as it could be. It was right there. And out of nowhere comes Patrick Surtain, former Defensive Player of the Year. comes flying across. I thought it might be interference, but no, I'm not throwing the flag. There's some hand fighting. Patrick Surtain just wanted the ball more than Christian Watson did. He goes right across his face and snatches it out of the sky and basically out of Christian Watson's hands, and then comes down on him, and it looked like he'd fallen on his shoulder, Christian Watson, but then they said it was his ribs, hurt his ribs. I don't know. He's been a little brittle. He's been a little physically vulnerable. He's dropped some balls, but he is a talent, and he changes the way they play offense. He is such a deep threat for them. He's their best receiver and by far their best field stretcher. And all of a sudden, blammo, he's gone. Patrick Surtain has the football. Denver has the football, and they explode off that play. It ignited the stadium. It ignited the Broncos sideline. And orange started crushing. Avalanche of orange on Green Bay. And soon after that, my man Micah Parsons, Micah, used to be 11 from heaven once upon a time for me with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not a big fan of his anymore, but I hated to see this happen because I was rooting for Wayne because of the bet. So I've said this before about Micah. He is the quickest and fastest edge rusher I've ever seen, because he's like beyond edge rushing quickness and speed. I've just never seen anything like it, because he can run like 4.4-ish, maybe 4.5. He's 250, 60 pounds. Athletically freaky on speed and quickness, but not athletically freaky on bendability, on athletic flexibility. You know, that Von Miller bend, that Gumby bend. Micah just doesn't have that. So he blitzes the quarterback, not literally, but just on pure quickness. He flashes at the quarterback. He gets in the vicinity of the quarterback, and then too often he just blows right by because he doesn't have that reroute ability to get near and then reach over and go gymnastic. There's no gymnastic to his game. So I just tweeted about that, and poor Micah has an opportunity where he gets free and he's got a shot at Bo Nix, but he's going to have to reroute. And he plants with his left leg, and the knee definitely buckled. And I hope it's not bad. I'm doing this right after the game, so I haven't heard the update. He walked gingerly to the locker room. He was a little limpy, a little limp, had a little bit of assistance from one of the trainers. I hated to see it, and he was gone for the rest of the game. Well, again, how lucky was Aqib Talib? Because not only did they lose their best receiver and deep threat, but within a couple of clock minutes, they've lost what most people consider the best, the fiercest, the scariest edge rusher and closer in the game. I don't agree with that, but that's how most people see them. And trust me, that's how the Green Bay Packers team and organization sees Micah and feeds off Micah's speed and quickness. How lucky, man. Do you realize I lost a bet with Aqib Talib earlier this year when his Broncos went to Houston, and I loved Houston in that game. I think I got points at home. And I was loving my position until we were barely into the second quarter, and C.J. Stroud goes down and out with a concussion. What? And they throw Davis Mills in there. I know he played better in the next 3 games, but he did not play well in the rest of that game. As I tweeted, straight trash, homie, Davis Mills. And predictably, the Texans fell apart and the Broncos won, and he stole it from me, and I dared him on the air to rescind the bet. I said I would rescind it. It wasn't a level playing field anymore. I'm sorry, I lost to my quarterback. I lost C.J. Stroud. No. So he's still one bet up on me. I got one coming up at Buffalo, Eagles at Buffalo. I've got Buffalo straight up for the get-even dinner. But in this case, Wayne got two terrible breaks. No Christian Watson, no Micah Parsons. And then on top of all that, Bo Nix, he's like a Brett Favre Jr., like they always said about Brett Favre. He's going to throw you 3 or 4. You just have to catch him, meaning interceptions. And today, Bo Nix threw Green Bay 5. I counted 5 highly interceptable footballs, a couple of out routes, a couple of throws over the middle, one tipped up in the air. There's one late in the game. It's just, I saw 5 footballs that could have been intercepted and just weren't. Valentine had a couple of shots. I don't know why. It's just not your day. It's not Wayne's day. I'm sure he's devastated tonight. He didn't care about the money. As I said, he just spits change like 5 bands. But he was really into this football team that now has to go for a crucial game to Chicago, where the Bears look really good against the Browns today. Did a previous video on that. But the point was, if you intercept, 3 of those balls, are we having a different conversation right now? Christian Watson doesn't get hurt, if Micah doesn't get hurt, those are just bad breaks. That's not sly, skillful betting. Those are just bad breaks. It's been your year. You just keep barely winning. And you won again today. And you got 2.5. You won 34-26. So you basically won 36.5-26. So you won by 10.5 points. Way to go, Aqib. It's just been meant to be. But I'm warning everybody out there. I'm warning Bronco Nation right here, right now. Sometimes these teams that just hang on the edge of the cliff all year, when you least expect it, at the end of the year, they fall off the cliff. So, Aqib, Bronco Nation, you won the battle today with Lil Wayne, and for that matter, me. But are you sure you're going to win the war? I'm not.